review. So this spinner doesn't really have a name. It's from Amazon. You can find it sold by a whole bunch of different vendors. People have been referring to it as the U13 spinner. It's also marketed by one specific vendor as the Victorem EDC hand spinner. I'll post a link in the description for you guys to find it. The price ranges from anywhere between $22 to, I've seen it go for $45 on Amazon.ca for all my Canadian listeners out there. But yeah, so I just received this thing. I haven't unboxed it yet. I haven't even taken the lid off. So I'll give you guys my first impressions along with a quick little review based on what we see in here. So let's get started. Alright. Wow, okay, so right off the bat, this is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. For some reason I thought it would be a lot larger because of this guy. So I thought that it would be maybe sticking out to here or something like that, but it seems to be really similar in size actually, which is not a bad thing. Alright, so there we go. Now right off the bat you can see that. It's quite wobbly actually. So these buttons wobble a lot. That's probably just has to do with the center of the bearing, and if you guys watched my review before on this guy, I'm pretty sure both of these have the same style bearing, where the bearing is with no cage, so it's uncaged bearing. Now you can tell already that's a pretty smooth spin. Spins without any difficulties there. Let's look at the finishing on this. So the finishing is pretty well. It's actually really uniform. I don't see any machining marks on it, except for, you know, just the grain of the metal itself caused by the tumbling or whatever they do to this thing. It's probably not tumbling. The edges are chamfered like this. It's not sharp at all. It's all bent in there so you can get your fingers in there for a nice spin. You got these little cutouts which will produce a nice little circle around there when you're spinning it. Now you can hear that it's a little bit bumpy sounding, it's a little bit grindy. It's probably because of the fact that it does wobble like this, but when you spin it, it doesn't actually wobble very much. And you can totally go like this with this one, and you won't get any random torque feedback. Now this one spins much easier than this one. Zoom out there. This one is incredible. Like I'm still getting the hang of spinning this guy because he's such a freaking beast in terms of weight. Especially when you go like this. Let's get back to this guy. This guy spins really nice and smooth. You can do this. This is what I like to do with my spinners. I like to just kind of circle them like this. So let's take a look at the bearing mechanism in here. Let's take off the buttons. Bear with me, this is my first time ever trying to operate this guy here. Now this button seems to be stuck here. Seems to be attached to the bearing almost. Let's see if I can poke him through. Oh, so that button, there we go. So the buttons seem to be like really stuck in there with the bearing. You can see it has a little ring, a little notch there that kind of catches on the inner railing of that bearing to keep it more in place. But yeah, so I think this is the exact same bearing that is used in the torque bar clone that I got from 3F Vapes. This one's not from 3F Vapes, this one's just off Amazon, but they're probably, I mean, they're all made in China. They all use similar bearings, so you can see here they're probably the exact same bearing. I'll take both of them out and we can look at them, comparing them. Now if that's true, this is probably another 606 bearing. Don't quote me on that, I'm not too sure, but I do have a good hunch from what I've read online. This thing was really stuck in there, and none of my keys would fit into the notches to open it. So it's actually a lot smaller than the one on the Spinetic bearing. But yeah, so taking this out, You can tell it's the exact same bearing as we see in this guy here. Confirm that just by putting them right on top of each other. You can see that they are indeed the same. So if that's true, then I suspect this is also a silicon nitride ball bearing with stainless steel or perhaps just steel railings. Looking at this guy, you can see the notch in there with which the bearing sits in for the retaining mechanism. And again, you can see the finish on that metal. It's actually really well made. Now I got this for $21.99 Canadian, I believe it was. That's a really good price. You can still find this online for that price, I believe. I'll put a link in the description. Hopefully it's the same price. But yeah, let's get this thing back together. The buttons. So the buttons feel cheap, just like the ones on this guy here, these buttons. So comparing them, they're both hollowed out and they're both sort of thin feeling. They don't feel very solid in the hand. But I mean, I guess that doesn't matter too much because you're holding onto the outside part here. You're not really worrying about the inside anyway. But either way, compared to the buttons on the Spinetic, those ones feel much more high quality. So yeah, this suffers from the same sort of issue that this one did in terms of the wobbliness here. So if you look, get that wobbling. If I spin the bearing about halfway, it wobbles a lot less. And that's probably because the balls sort of like to go to one side of the bearing. But that doesn't cause any issues in terms of spinning. I mean, this thing spins really well. It feels really nice in the hand. It actually feels very comparable to the Spinetic, and it's actually quite a pleasure to spin this thing. It's a bit quieter than the Torque Bar clone. But yeah, I mean, what else can I say? This thing, it looks really nice. The buttons are made of brass, I believe. They do feel really light. It might be just because they're hollowed out. It might be because they're not brass. I'm not sure. And I believe this body is made out of copper. At least that's what it says online. It says the body is made out of rose copper. I do hear a ringing noise as it spins. You can probably hear that. It's like a ringing sound, just like we get on this one. And this guy. So, all in all, this is a nice spinner. I like the cutouts especially because I plan on filling them in with epoxy mixed with a glow powder, so you can have some nice glow in the dark sort of quality as it spins. It'll make that ring. But yeah, I mean, for the price, this spinner feels like good quality. If you want a relatively cheap hand spinner, you want to buy one off Amazon, I would suggest going for this thing while they're still cheap, because prices have been increasing. Probably considering how many people are trying to hop onto this scene right now. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, come back for more later. You know the deal. Have a good day.